Hello, and welcome to IntelligentPod, the podcast where curiosity meets clarity, and together we discover big ideas to help us live smarter, more thoughtful lives. I'm your host, Sophie Lane, and today we're diving into a topic that touches all of us. Whether you're a lifelong learner, a parent, an educator, or just someone who's ever wondered, is there a better way to learn? This episode is all about exploring different models of education, what they are, how they work, and what we can learn from them. We'll look at the traditional classroom model, Montessori, homeschooling, unschooling, international systems like Finland's, and even the latest trends in online and hybrid education. We'll unpack the strengths, challenges, and unique philosophies behind each, bringing in psychological and cultural perspectives, some compelling studies, and stories from real people navigating these paths. And if you're wondering, how does this apply to me? Stick around. I'll be sharing practical takeaways, ways you can bring the best of these approaches into your own learning or your family's education, no matter what system you're in. So, let's get started. Let's begin with the basics. When most people think of school, they picture the traditional classroom. Desks in rows, a teacher at the front, textbooks, homework, tests, and grades. This model, often called factory model or industrial model, became dominant during the 19th and 20th centuries, especially in Western countries. And while it's evolved over time, the core structure, age-based grades, subject divisions, teacher-led instruction remains familiar to millions around the world. But here's something fascinating. According to UNESCO, over 1.5 billion students experienced some form of educational disruption during the COVID-19 pandemic. And as classrooms went virtual or hybrid, many parents and educators started asking, is there a better way? That question isn't new, but it's more urgent than ever. So what are the alternatives? Let's walk through some of the most influential models out there, exploring the philosophies and practicalities behind each. First up, the Montessori method. Developed by Dr. Maria Montessori in the early 1900s, this approach emphasizes self-directed learning, mixed-age classrooms, and hands-on activities. Instead of sitting through lectures, children are encouraged to explore materials at their own pace. Teachers act as guides rather than directors. Montessori schools have spread worldwide, with studies suggesting benefits in creativity, social skills, and academic outcomes, especially for younger children. A 2006 study published in the journal Science compared Montessori students to peers in traditional classrooms and found that Montessori kids performed better in reading, math, and social problem solving. One reason? The environment is designed to support autonomy and intrinsic motivation rather than external rewards like grades. But Montessori isn't the only game in town. There's also homeschooling, a movement that's grown dramatically in the last few decades. In the U.S. alone, the number of homeschooled students has doubled since the late 1990s, reaching over 3 million by 2021. Families choose homeschooling for all sorts of reasons: flexibility, dissatisfaction with local schools, or a desire for religious or philosophical alignment. And then there's unschooling, which takes things a step further. Unschoolers believe that meaningful learning happens when kids follow their interests, without a set curriculum or formal lessons. Picture a child who spends weeks building elaborate Lego cities or researching animal habitats after a trip to the zoo. The idea is that curiosity leads to deeper, more lasting learning than memorizing material for tests. Now, this approach isn't without critics. Some worry about gaps in knowledge or socialization, but others point to the success stories: unschooled students who go on to college, launch businesses, or develop expertise in fields they care deeply about. Let's broaden our lens and look internationally. One country that often comes up in education debates is Finland. Finnish schools consistently rank near the top in global assessments, and their approach is radically different from what's typical in the US or UK. Students start formal schooling at age 7, have shorter school days, more playtime, and very little standardized testing. Teachers are highly trained and given autonomy to design lessons. The focus is on equity, collaboration, and student well-being. A Finnish principle I love is less is more. Fewer hours, less homework, but more depth and engagement. And it seems to work. Finnish students report high levels of life satisfaction and low stress alongside strong academic performance. Of course, not every country or family can replicate Finland's system, but it's a powerful reminder that education isn't one size fits all. Let's bring in the latest wave: online and hybrid learning. During the pandemic, millions of students shifted to remote classes, Zoom calls, and digital assignments. And while many struggled with screen fatigue and lack of social connection, others thrived with the flexibility. New models like flipped classrooms, where students watch lectures at home and do hands-on work in class, are gaining ground, as are microschools and learning pods that mix in-person and online elements. So, what does all this mean from a psychological perspective? A key factor across all these models is motivation. Decades of research in educational psychology show that students learn best when they feel autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Whether it's the independence fostered in Montessori, the deep dives of unschooling, or the collaborative ethos of Finnish schools, the best systems tap into students' intrinsic drive to understand the world. But there's also the social and cultural side. In some communities, education is about passing down traditions, values, and social norms. In others, it's about preparing for a competitive job market. The best model often depends on what you value most: structure or freedom, breadth or depth, standardization or personalization. Let me share a quick story. I once met a family who tried 3 different models in just 5 years. Their oldest started in a traditional public school, but struggled with anxiety and boredom. They switched to a Montessori program where she blossomed, developing confidence and curiosity. Later, when the family moved to a rural area, they homeschooled, mixing online courses with farm chores. Each transition brought challenges, but also new strengths. The parents told me, "There's no perfect system. We've learned to adapt and to keep asking, what does our child need now?" So let's talk about actionable advice. Whether you're a parent choosing a school, a student navigating your own education, or just someone who loves to learn, here are some takeaways. First, know that there's no single right model for everyone. It's about fit, matching your needs, values, and context to the options available. If you're in a traditional school, look for ways to personalize your learning. Pursue independent projects, join clubs, or ask teachers for flexibility when possible. If you're drawn to Montessori or similar approaches, see if you can bring those principles home. Create a space where you or your kids can explore materials. Follow interests and develop independence. For homeschoolers and unschoolers, build community. Learning doesn't have to happen alone. Connect with local groups, museums, libraries, and mentors. If you're navigating online learning, set routines and boundaries. Mix screen time with offline projects, movement, and social interaction. And for everyone, remember that the heart of education is curiosity. Ask questions, try new things, and don't be afraid to experiment. Learning is a lifelong journey, not a race. Let's recap. Today we explored different models of education: traditional classrooms, Montessori, homeschooling, unschooling, international systems like Finland's, and the rise of online and hybrid learning. Each has strengths and challenges, shaped by culture, psychology, and individual needs. The key isn't finding the perfect system, but rather approaching education as an evolving process, one that adapts to who we are and who we want to become. Before we wrap up, here's a thought to carry with you. Education isn't just about what happens in a classroom. It's about how we engage with the world, ask questions, and grow at any age. So wherever you are on your learning journey, keep exploring, keep adapting, and trust your curiosity. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Intelligent Pod. If you enjoyed our conversation today, please consider leaving a review. It helps others find the show and keeps our community growing. For show notes, links, and more resources about the models we discussed, head over to IntelligentPod.com. And I'd love to hear from you. Email me anytime at sophie@intelligentpod.com with your thoughts, questions, or stories about your own educational journey. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning. I'm Sophie Lane, and this is IntelligentPod.